Dragon Con is one of the few sit-down coasters Bolliger and Mabillard ever built, but it is considered by many to be one of their best loopers. Located at PortAventura in Spain, this coaster is often compared to one of B&M's most revered coasters in Busch Gardens Tampa's Kumba, and it is not hard to see why. Both coasters are the same model, and they feature strikingly similar layouts. But does Dragon Con have the forces of Kumba? Find out in this review. Dragon Con was an opening day attraction for PortAventura in 1995. Upon opening, this coaster broke the inversion record with 8 of them. It would hold that record for 7 years until Thorpe Park opened Colossus in 2002. But Dragon Con still holds the title for the most inversions on a B&M coaster. This was only the second sit-down coaster B&M built. The Swiss manufacturer would only build 6 of these coasters in total, making it one of their least popular models. Most parks prefer to go with an inverted coaster, or after its debut in 1999, the floorless coaster. The only sit-down coaster that came before Dragon Con was the aforementioned Kumba. Many people refer to Dragon Con as Spanish Kumba. Both rides feature similar heights, and the layouts have a ton of similarities. Kumba has 7 inversions. Dragon Con has those exact 7 inversions in the same order, just with an extra vertical loop placed before the double corkscrews. There are some additional differences as well. Whereas Kumba features a twisting first drop, Dragon Con has a straight drop. This leads to the layout being oriented differently. Kumba's vertical loop wraps around the lift hill. Dragon Con's first vertical loop isn't in the right spot to do this, so instead, the second vertical loop wraps around the 0G roll. Kumba also has a helix at the end that Dragon Con does not have. The final big difference is that Kumba has a lot of trees and shrubbery adjacent to the attraction. This sort of hides the layout. Dragon Con is far more exposed, but that's deliberate. PortAventura wants this coaster on full display for everyone to see. This coaster opened as the premier attraction at PortAventura. You could see this coaster from miles away as you approached the park, and you could see it looming in the distance as you entered the park. It looked striking. Dragon Con no longer has the same visual impact though. Once the park added Shambhala in 2012, that became the coaster that captured everyone's attention, and that B&M Hyper comically dwarfs Dragon Con. Shambhala's lift hill was placed directly over that of Dragon Con. Heck, one of the hills in Shambhala's return run seems to be at eye level with Dragon Con's first drop. While the old looper doesn't look as big as it once did, it still looks fantastic. It features bright red track and blue supports. The paint scheme sort of reminds me of something you'd see on one of the Superman coasters at a Six Flags park. And I like how you can walk around the entire coaster to take in each element. While the main layout has no theming, it was integrated into the China section of the park perfectly. The ride is themed to the reincarnated spirit of Prince Hu of Beijing. Whenever a human climbs on his back, his fury is unleashed, and this coaster's deafening roar makes it sound angry, so it is a fitting name. And I absolutely love this ride's entry plaza. The queue line is housed in this ornate temple. You enter under a beautiful archway featuring the ride's logo, and the columns have dragons wrapped around them. It is a very nice touch. It's one of the best entrances on any coaster. Then the center of the queue line features a giant dragon head hanging from the ceiling. Unfortunately, the rest of the queuing experience is quite miserable to be honest for this coaster. It is a giant sea of switchbacks, all squished together. I shudder to think how long this ride's wait would be if they were entirely filled. Typically, I see this coaster max out at a 30 to 45 minute wait. Dragon Con can have incredible capacity. The ride features 3 trains. Each features 7 rows of 4 to accommodate a max of 28 guests per cycle, and the staff members are able to check the trains fairly quickly too. The biggest variable that will impact your wait is how many trains are on the course. On busy days, the park has been known to run all 3, which will keep the line moving at a very brisk rate. I believe the park is more likely to run 2 trains, which still keeps the line moving at a steady rate. However, the ride can run with just one train on quiet days. This can cause the line to crawl, especially because the staff members need to accommodate everyone with express passes on the lone train. It is also worth noting this ride may have some issues with inclement weather. I saw it close in a steady rainfall on my most recent visit, which is a contrast to most other European parks that will run their coasters in any condition. Then the ride will go down to one train on windy days. This minimizes the likelihood of valleying by ensuring the train is fully loaded. So what are the best ways to beat the crowds? Unfortunately, Dragon Con does not have a single rider line. It's honestly surprising. The 4 across trains lend itself to one, and the queue line seems like it has a lane already in place that could be used for that purpose. Therefore, I recommend making Dragon Con one of your first rides of the day. It is one of the few coasters that opens with the park, and since it is located towards the back, you can usually get a few laps before most people get back there. This line also tends to quiet down near closing time, but I prefer to save my last rides for Shambhala. The other way to beat the crowds is to purchase an express pass. It can be costly, but it also gives you an advantage when it comes to seat selection if you care. Dragon Con is assigned seating. You may be able to ask for an open row, but they will not let you wait for a row that has already been taken. Express Pass users typically are taken first. If they have the gold tier, they are permitted to ride in the front row once. Otherwise, they are placed elsewhere on the train. I think the front is the best row by a slim margin. The unobstructed view gives the coaster an extra sense of speed. The forces didn't vary too much across the train, so it's not too much of an issue if you can't pick your row on this ride. Once you're seated, you pull down the familiar B&M over-the-shoulder harness. The restraints are hard, but they are comfortable because the ride is mostly smooth. If you're on the larger side, it is worth noting this coaster has a few special seats towards the middle that are more accommodating. These are easily identified by the double buckles. Once dispatched, you round a corner and ascend the 148-foot or 45-meter tall lift hill. While it is 10 stories shorter than Shambhala, you still get a great view of the park to your right and the Mediterranean Sea to your left. At the top, you turn right before traversing the first drop. Most B&M loopers feature twisting drops. These don't always do it for me. Dragon Con instead features a straight drop. It's not super steep, but it is steep enough to offer some weak floater airtime if you're in the back row. And the ride is sneakily a terrain coaster as the drop is 13 feet taller than the lift hill. As a whole, Dragon Con is a very smooth coaster. You can see the train shimmy, but it doesn't cause much of an issue. But for whatever reason, the pullout from the first drop is the one shaky spot. It's weird to get headbanging on a straight section of track like this, but you will smash your head in the harness without fail if you aren't careful. So I would recommend leaning forwards here to avoid the issue. You do get some good positive Gs here at least, and they are maintained through the first inversion, which is a giant vertical loop. Do not be surprised if you start to gray out here. Without any delay, you rip through a dive loop. The entry dials back on the force for an instant, and the twist isn't too snappy, but the dive back down to the ground dishes out another solid dose of positive Gs. Next is the best moment by far in Dragon Con, the 0G roll. This element is spectacular. It rides identically to the one on Kumba, and that is a very good thing. You violently rotate 360 degrees. You get some incredible whip and powerful laterals. You'll also weakly levitate out of your seat during the maneuver. All of these aspects make it one of the best inversions out there. You then careen through a cobra roll. You get decent positives ascending and descending the element. The snaps and the half corkscrews don't quite have the same intensity as the other cobra rolls on the 1990s B&Ms though, in my opinion. Now the entire first half is a great sense of speed, particularly if you're up front. You quickly move from inversion to inversion. You then rise upwards into the mid-course brake run. You'll get some weak floater airtime here, especially in the front row. You then cruise through 3/4 of the midcourse uninhibited, but at the last moment the train is very noticeably trimmed. This takes the edge off the second half. The second half starts with a swooping drop into a trench that is immediately followed by the ride's second loop. This is probably the ride's weakest inversion. It has too little speed to offer notable positive Gs, but it's not slow enough to give hang time. It's in that awkward middle ground. You then have a turnaround consisting of a 270-degree spiral. This is another forgettable element. It more or less just gets you lined up for the finale. Now this is a return to form though. You then zoom through interlocking corkscrews. These are great. The train is really snapped through them. Then the valleys before and after the inversions give quick blasts of positive Gs as well. Then the turn in between the two corkscrews has some bite to it as well. I can only imagine how violent this finale would be if the coaster ran untrimmed. Dragon Con then twists 180 degrees into the final brake run. You'll get a nice view of the Cobra roll up ahead, and then you return to the station, ending the 4,163 foot or 1,269 meter long coaster. So is this coaster as good as Kumba? No. Each of Kumba's inversions are among the best example of that specific inversion from B&M. On Dragon Con, the only world-class maneuver is the 0G roll. That's not necessarily a mark against Dragon Con, as much as it is a testament to just how special Kumba is. So what would I rate Dragon Con? I would give this multi-looper an 8 out of 10. This is a good coaster. This is one of the best coasters in Europe purely for inversions. You have 8 of them, and very little downtime in between. Most of them are decent to good, and then you have that special 0G roll. While this ride is no Kumba, it does have more power than most of the floorless coasters that came after it. And even after nearly 3 decades of operation, this coaster is still running quite smoothly. All of these factors are why it's my second favorite coaster at the Spanish park. So those are my thoughts on Dragon Con, the original thrill coaster at PortAventura. What are your thoughts on this coaster? Do you prefer this or Kumba? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.